Yes, that's right. I did just manage to kill a ground target with an air-to-air missile. It was a AAA battery too. I mean, that's just so ironic. Hello, I am Aoyolaipe, and I like to hop into top-tier matches in War Thunder and then personally kill the entire enemy team by myself. Welcome to my channel. Alright, so this is a new F-15I. There are some VPO and good players in the other team, so I'm going to do my usual trick, and I'm going to head to the left and hide behind Mount Aoyolaipe. Yeah, the same trick I always pull, and this is where you're like, no, you're giving me way too much deja vu. There's no way this worked yet again, and you'd be right. This time I only got 14 of them before they managed to stop me. But hey, you know, you can't say they don't learn. So anyways, let's see if I can redeem myself with a good match next game. This is the same map, but I'm on the opposite side, so I can't use Mount Aoyolaipe, but it really only works for the other side, which is a bummer. Playing from this side of the map is actually a totally different experience. So anyways, it's patch day, or it was a few days ago. It was early this week, whatever. I was really busy with stuff. I couldn't make a video until now. Anyways, the new patch is out, so I went ahead and murdered up some fresh teams for you guys. You know, nice, fresh, piping hot, WTF to 0, blood and salt massacres, just the way you guys like it. So this is the F-15I Ra'am. It was just added a few days ago, and it is now the best plane in the game. If you've seen any YouTubers cover this jet or the closely related F-15E recently, then they were probably like, oh my god, this thing is busted. And yeah, my experience with jet was also, yeah, holy crap, it is so busted. Literally, my third game with this jet was a 21-0 kill streak that ended with me getting into an argument with a random guy about whether or not I was Aoyolaipe from Aoyolaipe hunts teams in disguise. Spoiler alert, I was, and your team got hunted to extinction, dude. Speaking of disguises, my decoy squadron for this match is FCNXS, so thank you to Nexus for inviting me to that squadron for a few days. I'll link his Twitch channel in the description. Oh, and fun fact about this match, the reason I didn't hit any targets in my opening salvo was because Roach God was randomly on my team, and I didn't realize this for the first minute, so he killed all the targets I was shooting at before my missiles hit him. And I didn't know he was in the match. I wasn't squatted with him. He was just completely random. Roach God, if you recall, used to have the world record jet kill streak. He wants the record back, and he's not getting it this match. He only managed to get 13 or 14 people before he died. It really sucked to be on that specific enemy team in this match. They got hosed. Ironically, right before this match, Roach God, who's like a friend of mine, we were in Discord and we were arguing about whether or not the Griffin or the F4F Ice was better at the moment for a record attempt. Because if you recall, the F4 Ice got down tiered to 13.0 with the patch, which makes it a much better plane. It's a much better battle range for it to be at. Because they can get into a 12.7 lineup, and that's a tier where you get a lot of down tiers at that rank. Personally, I think the F4 Ice is going to be a better bet. I'm not saying the F4 Ice is better overall. I'm just saying if you're facing a large enough group of bad players that you can farm them for the world record, the F4 Ice is going to do a better job than the Griffin at that. That's my prediction. But we will see. Although, to be fair, we were both totally wrong. The F-15I is a way better candidate to break that record. I would honestly be surprised if it didn't. So, as I was saying, yes, the rumors are true. This jet is overpowered. It's not really rumors, more of a fact at this point. And normally, an overpowered jet makes it difficult to make a video, but that's not the case here. You see, my creative process usually involves me flying jets casually for a bit and getting a feel for what makes them tick. Then I develop a strategy to wipe out an entire lobby, and then I sit down and actually go massacre a few lobbies, usually 3 to 6, and then I cherry pick the most interesting team wipe to show you. And then I make a voiceover explaining my evil plan, while, you know, having a video of my evil plan working flawlessly at the expense of some poor team who didn't even know I was there since I disguised myself so they wouldn't know I was there. And I didn't want them to know I was there because if they did, they would gang up on me while there's still time to stop me. Mwahahaha! And this works partially because my viewers enjoyed learning stuff, and partially because my viewers enjoy learning stuff in the douchiest way possible. Now, however, if a jet's overpowered, the strat really only boils down to there's a team over there, and bang, the team's dead. Trollolol, this plane's overpowered. I am awesome, please subscribe. And the lesson, you know, a viewer would draw from that is that you too can be really good at War Thunder if you make a YouTube channel that's big enough for Gaijin to give you overpowered jets for free. And I mean, how can I turn that into an engaging video? That doesn't like teach you anything, you just, like, what? However, the F-15I is overpowered in a way that is actually really interesting. The things that make this jet overpowered have the logical consequence of basically making it almost invincible on any map that has terrain features. Almost every match I've had on a mountain map turned into a ridiculous bloodbath, or even just maps with light cover like this one you're seeing here. Really, anything that isn't flat, if you're on that, good luck stopping one of these things if it's on the enemy team and it's in the right hands. The only exception really was there was an 11-2 match I had, but I was fighting a squad of 4 Itcher players. It was actually really interesting. I'll post it as bonus footage. Gaijin did nerf this plane supposedly, though. The footage you're seeing here was filmed on patch day. It was actually only my 5th match with the jet, but I found some time yesterday to do like 4 matches, which was after the nerf, and one of those matches was a 25-1 match. So 25-1 isn't perfect, but I mean, yeah, it's not like this thing like really got nerfed. Like it's still really overpowered. So alright, let's start at the beginning and give you a holistic explanation of this plane. Now I probably mispronounced Ram or Ram or Ra'am or whatever it is. I'm just saying, it sounds like a strange way to translate McDonnell Douglas F-15 Strike Eagle into another language. Anyways, the F-15E and the F-15I are very similar to each other, and I'm just going to collectively refer to them as the Strike Eagles. The Strike Eagles are ground attack variants of the normal F-15s, but they're not so much anti-ground as they are just anti-everything. The main difference is that these new F-15s are faster than the pre-existing F-15s. The Strike Eagles are extremely fast. I've heard that they are the fastest jets in the game, but they definitely have the highest practical speed if you're using some low altitude strat in TTAA. But arguably even more important than that, they have absolutely stupid acceleration. It's like flying a UFO, and this isn't an arcade thing. Acceleration, if you recall, is actually nerfed in arcade for every jet that has an afterburner, including this one. So it's crazy in arcade, but it's absolutely nuts and realistic. Instead, it's actually overpowered in arcade for like slightly different reasons than why it's overpowered and realistic. So first things first, in both game modes, max speed and acceleration are both just about the most important things your plane can have in a top tier match. However, the key factor to consider in arcade is that you're way more likely to get a map with a lot of terrain features. Now, remember, my channel motto is that missiles don't go through mountains, and there's a lot of little hills and mountains and terrains and whatnot around on this map and lots of others in arcade. But it's important to remember that not only do missiles not go through mountains, but the terrain itself will also tend to break locks. So if you dip behind a steep hill or like a narrow cliff, like one of those finger cliffs for just a second or two, even if the missile doesn't hit the hill or the cliff or the skyscraper or whatever, that will generally still break the lock. Now, the missile can reacquire the lock, but that's pretty uncommon, and it's borderline impossible if you're pre-flaring when you're coming out of cover. So what that means is, for all practical intents and purposes, every time I pass through cover, even for just a moment, it resets all incoming enemy attacks. The more often I pass through cover, the more often it resets incoming attacks. The faster I'm going, the more often I go through cover. You start to see the issue here, right? If you can get a jet that's fast enough, you can kind of use this to break the game. So let me break down and explain the basic concept using some easy numbers I made up. Okay, let's say I'm out in the open for 15 seconds and will take your missiles 5 seconds to reach me. Your window to fire and kill me is 10 seconds. If I move twice as fast, I'm out in the open for only 7.5 seconds, but it still takes your missile 5 seconds to hit me. So your window to fire and kill me is now only 2.5 seconds. I doubled my speed, but your window to kill me dropped by 75%. Now, those are not the exact numbers. I made them up to illustrate the concept in an easy to understand way, and it's also way more complicated in practice anyways. But the core concept here is that if you're using speed to avoid getting hit by incoming missiles, increasing your speed will make it disproportionately harder to kill you. The technically incorrect but still helpful way to sort of think about it is, if you increase your speed by, say, 30%, it's more than 30% harder to kill you. And this map has so many little terrain features that the window to kill me in anything is already small, but if I have a really fast jet like this one, I'm borderline invincible. It's really hard to kill me on anything that has terrain, because I can just dip behind terrain so often that you can't really get me. And if I'm aggressively doing that, really the best move my opponents would have would be to chase me down and force a close range fight. But they can't chase me down. I'm in the fastest plane in the game! And once I put this together, I just realized, oh, I can fly circles around everyone and just seal club them. This is hilarious. My only real threat now is running out of gas, which unfortunately is now a huge concern. I only have 2 minutes of gas left, and that means I don't have enough to use my afterburner, so that robs me of the massive speed and acceleration advantage I have. But I'm also concerned that I'm just gonna get bounced on the runway if I land for gas. Like, I try to polish off the last few enemy players before I run out of gas, but I get painted into a corner instead. I have to dodge an F-16's attack, but it just sets a VPO player up for a shot, and he finally gets me. But hey, I got 27 of them in a row. I mean, that's not bad. And now I get to pop a backup and mop up the survivors with a full tank of gas. I had actually jettisoned my drop tank at the start of the match. That was a mistake. I'm not sure why I did that, but I mean, I literally just got this jet. It was my 5th match with it. I mean, okay, look, if you're in your 5th match with a jet and you're staring down dozens of enemy players, and your chief concern is making sure you don't run out of gas while killing them all, I mean, that seems like a good problem to have, all things considered. Anyways, what this also taught me is this was actually still a relatively short match. At least it was short when I died. And it was clear that there would be matches where one drop tank wouldn't cut it if I was spamming my afterburner as much as I could, which I usually do because that makes it really hard for people to kill me. I did some experimenting after this with like different setups for gas, and I settled on a 2 drop tank loadout. 3 drop tanks is a bit much. It compromises your flight forms, and you're not really going to use that 3rd one ever. And the conformal fuel tanks murder your flight forms in this thing. I definitely prefer to take the drop tanks and just be a little more conservative at the start of the match. Oh, and one other thing, the F-15I has one other key advantage over the F-15E, which is that it has an extra 120 countermeasures. This gets 360, the F-15E gets 240. So that gives me extra countermeasures that I can just spam preemptively to delay people's attack while I jump from ridge to ridge. And that combined with the speed makes it just way harder to get me. Like, the countermeasures don't even need to directly stop your missile if I can jump from cover to cover. They just have to be annoying and waste an extra second or two, and that will also disproportionately shorten the window you have to kill me. So, I mean, if I'm playing defensively, you know, speed and countermeasures are usually good substitutes for each other. And this thing has tons of speed and tons of countermeasures. You know, I mentioned near the end of my last video that I sometimes just chill out and play the game very casually. And when I'm doing that, a huge chunk of what I do is just using speed, terrain, and countermeasure spam to just sort of render most of the enemy team a non-factor. Make it impossible or just really difficult for them to get me, and I don't have to worry about them. It's easy and it's second nature to me at this point. And you know, I'll just dispense with the fancy tactics and elaborate schemes and stuff I usually need to win. But now Gaijin came along and built a plane that was god tier at using speed, terrain, and countermeasure spam, and that's exactly what I was going to do anyways. It's awesome. I love this jet. It's one of the few jets where I can mow down entire teams without actually trying. And to be fair here, the incredible seal clubbing performance of this thing is historically accurate. As I'm sure every other YouTuber makes a joke about, this thing has like 100 air-to-air kills and no losses. And most of the air-to-air kills were actually scored by the Israelis over Lebanon. They wiped out the Syrian Air Force in 1982, largely with their F-15s. Basically, everyone agrees that the F-15 is just really, really good at just sort of annihilating everything, although people have been known to passionately disagree about whether or not you should root for the F-15s when they annihilate everything, especially if they're the Israeli ones. Anyways, this particular match is basically over. The enemy team, they haven't run out of planes, but they have stopped respawning, so it's gonna take a minute or two for the you know, no active players in the enemy team notification pop up. So I'm just gonna go ahead and cut to the end, and ta-da! The team is dead. The whole team, whole enemy team. Look, I know 31-1 isn't perfect, but I just didn't have a lot of time this week. I just didn't have enough time to sit down and film a good game with this thing. And I know you guys really wanted to see how the new plane works, so I hope this is okay. Anyways, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and comment to feed the algorithm. And remember, if you subscribe and ring the bell, you won't need to remember how to spell AOLIPay next time you want to watch one of my videos.